What cognitive biases influence our ethical decisions? Imagine making a choice that feels right but might actually be influenced by hidden mental shortcuts. Sometimes our brains trick us into thinking we're being fair or rational when we are not. These mental shortcuts are called cognitive biases, and they can shape how we judge what is right or wrong without us even realizing it. Understanding these biases is key to better ethical thinking because they show us how unconscious influences can distort our moral compass. One common bias is confirmation bias. This happens when we look for information that supports what we already believe. For example, if someone thinks a certain action is okay, they might ignore evidence that says otherwise. This bias makes it hard to see the full picture and can lead us to justify unethical choices just because they fit our existing views. Another bias is overconfidence bias. This is when we believe our moral judgment is more accurate than it really is. We might dismiss other opinions or ethical concerns because we think we know best. This can cause us to make decisions without enough reflection or advice, increasing the chance of ethical mistakes. Status quo bias is also influential. It makes us prefer things to stay the same rather than change, even if the current situation is unfair or wrong. For example, organizations might resist ethical reforms because they are comfortable with how things are, even if those practices are unjust. Groupthink and conformity bias can be powerful too. When we are in a group, we often want to fit in and avoid conflict. This can stop us from speaking up against unethical behavior or questioning group norms. It can lead to collective moral failures because no one challenges the wrong actions. The availability heuristic is another bias that affects our ethics. We tend to judge situations based on information that is easiest to recall. If a recent or emotionally charged event comes to mind, we might overemphasize its importance and ignore broader facts. This can skew our moral judgments toward what is most vivid rather than what is most fair. Loss aversion and risk aversion also play a role. We prefer avoiding losses over gaining benefits and might avoid taking ethical risks because of fear. For example, someone might stay silent about an injustice because speaking up feels risky, even if it is the right thing to do. Omission bias is when we see harmful actions as worse than harmful inactions. We might judge a harmful act more harshly than failing to act, even if the outcomes are similar. This can make us avoid responsibility or intervention in morally difficult situations. Lastly, in-group bias causes us to favor members of our own group over outsiders. This can lead to unfair treatment or favoritism, even when universal principles like fairness and justice should guide us. All these biases can operate both within individuals and across organizations. They often happen without us noticing and can cause us to act against our moral values. Recognizing these biases helps us slow down and think more clearly. We can challenge our assumptions by seeking different viewpoints and questioning our initial judgments. In moral philosophy, these biases reminded us that perfect rationality is hard to achieve. Even the most logical thinkers can be influenced by emotional and social factors. Being aware of these biases allows us to make more honest and fair ethical choices. It helps us stay true to our principles and act with integrity, even when our minds try to steer us in another direction.